Tom Lake is the Vice President of Purchasing for Honda North America. In this capacity, he is responsible for optimizing the supply chains for Honda North America automobile operations. During his career, Tom has helped expand Honda's purchasing network to over 700 OEM suppliers, from which Honda purchased $26 billion of parts and materials annually. Through his efforts, he has served as a leader in Honda's aggressive pursuit of quality excellence, total cost optimization, and supplier diversity. He currently serves as a member of the Board of Directors for the National Minority Supplier Development Council, is also an active member of CAP's Research Executive Advisory Board, and supports business education in cooperation with several local colleges. It is my distinct honor to introduce the Vice President of Purchasing, Honda North America, Mr. Tom Lake.
Thank you, sir. Don't forget the... Morning, everyone. It is really great to be here in Alabama, and it is a great honor for me to represent Honda in kicking off this 10th annual Southern Automotive Conference. 10 years of this conference really speaks to the incredible growth in the auto industry in the Southeast. Honda Manufacturing of Alabama marked its 15-year anniversary of production just a year ago. And the president of HMA, Jeff Tomko, is here today. And I'd like to recognize Mr. Tomko. He's here somewhere. Okay. Somewhere, anyway, he's here. There's no traffic on 20, is there? You'll be hearing from Jeff a little later today in a panel. But it is amazing to me how fast and how far the industry has grown in this region. Congratulations to all of the people that conceived of this annual gathering and for putting together yet another great event. Congratulations. Speaking of milestones, Honda just reached our second great milestone in America in the past month that speak of how we have been driving progress. I will tell you more about that in a moment, but first let me outline some of the key challenges and opportunities facing our industry that I want to bring for your consideration today. First, I'm speaking of factory overcapacity in a really uncertain business environment and the implications that it has for OEM and supplier relationships. Second, electrification of our vehicles and what it means for our production operations in North America. And finally, workforce development. I know it's a hot topic for all you, and the need to prepare our people for the technological challenges of the future related to both our vehicles and the systems that put them together. I will speak on each of these areas in a moment, but first, as I said, Honda is marking several major milestones in our history in America. This marks the 40th anniversary of the announcement that Honda would build products in America with the establishment of our very first plant in Ohio. When Honda management made this bold decision back in 1977, there were no trade pressures or any restrictions at all on imports from Japan, the ones that would later push a lot of our competitors to localize their production here. Our decision was based solely on our core belief in building products close to the customers. Honda now has 19 major manufacturing facilities in this region, including Honda Manufacturing of Alabama, which is right down the street, and Honda Precision Parts of Georgia, a transmission plant that's just a few miles down the road in Georgia. So this is really one of the starting points for Honda in America, and really for the international automotive industry represented in such great numbers here today. What's important, though, is really not the major milestone like our announcement of production in Ohio, but rather what it represents, which is the vision Honda showed in establishing production operations here and the commitments of the highest level of quality in America. I came to Honda in January of 1987, so I just marked my 30th anniversary with the company. And in fact, Jeff Tomko and I started on the exact same day and in the same department in purchasing. But there is more significant milestones that year, because it was 30 years ago last month that Honda announced its 5-part strategy for North America, a strategic plan that has guided almost everything that we've done, every initiative Honda has undertaken in North America since that time. I still remember how inspiring and visionary that plan was. In addition to establishing our second auto plant and a major R&D center in Ohio, this 5-part strategy led to a major increase in parts procurement in this region. And of course, the hiring of people like Jeff and I, so that was pretty important for me. It will be difficult I think now looking back, it's really difficult to appreciate how truly out there this strategy was, considering what happened with Honda and our industry since that time. But it was a truly visionary plan, and it targeted an incredibly inspirational goal to achieve self-reliance of our operations in North America. More than the business results, this strategy had a huge impact on the growth and maturity of our young engineers, who today are taking responsibility for the creation of new products and making key decisions affecting the future of our company. The reality is that more than 30 years after it was announced in September of 1987, we continue to advance along the basic path set by the 5-part strategy. But that doesn't mean that we're standing still. To the contrary, year after year, Honda's story in North America has been one of continued reinvestment in our existing facilities to keep our operations on the leading edge of quality, efficiency, and flexibility. But the reality is that we have worked hard over the past 2 years to get the most out of our North American operations, always seeking to make the most efficient use of our existing capacity before expanding. Because excess capacity, as you all know, can put a lot of pressure on your business. It can affect your sales tactics, your dealers, and even your extended supply chain. After 35 years of building cars in America, a milestone our Marysville auto plant will reach in November, our American production operations will have taken the lead in establishing the production know-how for key global models like the all-new generations of Accord, Civic, and CR-V. And our plant here in Alabama had exclusive launch responsibilities for the production of the Honda Odyssey, Ridgeline, Pilot, and Acura MDX. So talk about taking a lead role. We all know that today's market is challenging for passenger cars. More than 50% of our sales this year are light trucks, and that's an even higher ratio for some of our competitors. So we have been working for more than a year to increase the supply of light trucks from our North American plants, strengthening supplies of the Honda CR-V, the Pilot, and the Acura MDX. This month, we complete one of the major steps in the transfer of all of the production of the MDX from here in Alabama to our East Liberty plant in Ohio. This will provide our plant here with the ability to meet the demand, the strong demand for the Honda Pilot. And we will continue to build the Honda Odyssey, Ridgeline, and Pilot right here in Alabama. The East Liberty plant, which has begun producing the MDX this spring, will continue to build the Acura RDX and the Honda CR-V. Because of the pressure that excess capacity puts on all of our businesses, it is important to meet the needs of our customer without contributing to industry overcapacity. At Honda, this approach starts with flexibility in our plants and our production associates, which is critical to our ability to more effectively utilize existing capacity and to do that throughout our entire North American production network to meet customer demand for all of our products. We've worked hard to develop accurate forecasts of the market, but as you all know, that is an imperfect science. So, like Honda, our suppliers need to be able to move quickly in either direction to align production with demand. This kind of flexibility requires that we maintain close communication with our suppliers and a truly trusting relationship where they know we are providing them with the best view we have of the market at any given time. Maintaining strong supplier relationships really pays off in an uncertain market because even in a flat or down market, some vehicles will sell better than others. So, we need to position ourselves to be flexible enough to build what the market wants, to keep our customers satisfied, and to make the most efficient use of not only our capacity, but also the capacity of all of our suppliers. Another challenge we face, but also a way that we're driving progress, is our approach to the area of electrified vehicles. We have a strong commitment to advance these technologies as a critical part of our future competitiveness based on what we call our Honda Electrification Initiative. On a global scale, we are targeting 2/3 of our sales to be electrified vehicles by the year 2030. As a global company, this initiative reflects major shifts in customer interest and government actions around the world. For instance, Germany, France, and the UK are looking at completely banning the sales of new gasoline and diesel-powered vehicles as soon as the year 2040. And to varying degrees, the same trend is advancing here in America. We have stringent emission and fuel economy standards on a national scale that cannot be achieved without electrification. And even more challenging are the California mandates, which require that every automaker substantially grow sales of low and zero emission vehicles. But it isn't just California alone. There are 13 states adopting similar requirements, and these markets, when we add them all up, equal roughly 40% of our sales. But it's not just about regulations. It's truly about our dreams for our customers and a more fundamental shift in technology that has profound implications on our future. This year, we're introducing the new Clarity series of electrified vehicles, a 3-in-1 approach that is the first in the industry to offer advanced fuel cell, battery electric, and plug-in hybrid powertrains on a single vehicle platform. The Clarity fuel cell and Clarity electric are already being leased in very limited quantities in select markets. And the Clarity plug-in hybrid will be sold in all 50 states starting late this year. We are targeting 75,000 vehicles in the first 4 model years, which doesn't sound like a huge volume, but it heralds an expanding lineup of electrified Honda vehicles that will be produced here in North America. This includes not only new Accord hybrid, which is going into production in Ohio, and also a small hybrid vehicle that will be in production next year. We also announced our intention to apply plug-in hybrid technology to nearly all of our core models in the future. Towards this challenge, we are making changes to our North American manufacturing operations while retaining the flexibility to maintain significant volume of vehicles with conventional powertrains. As we change our production characteristics, we will pursue future innovation and new processes. As an example, we just added the subassembly of the hybrid battery unit for the first time in-house in our plant in Marysville, Ohio, to support production of the new Accord hybrid. This strategy is initially consolidated in Marysville for higher efficiency and in order to develop the know-how. But then we'll transfer this to other plants as the expansion of electrification continues. To accommodate new processes related to electrification, we are working to improve our own efficiencies, which includes making efforts to avoid expansions of our main assembly lines. One example is a new verification processes that we are establishing at the end of the line, such as new systems to align the advanced electronics and safety systems in our vehicles. Our manufacturing strategy for electrification will begin with global models, such as the Accord hybrid, but it will ultimately extend to all of our core models, including the light trucks built here. Ultimately, this strategy will enable us to respond to customer preference for electrification while helping to manage the cost of added electrification and new processes. It won't be an easy task, but we are determined to be at the absolute leading edge of this new, exciting mobility future. You know, electrification is a good example of how our plant operations and engineering activities are becoming more and more advanced and sophisticated. This means the capability of our associates also must continue to become more advanced and sophisticated. We believe our future will be defined by the successful interaction between our associates and technology. So it is critical that we not only invest in new factories and equipment, in advanced technology, we must continue to invest in the knowledge, skill, and experience of the Honda team. In addition to the challenges such as producing electrified vehicles, from a product perspective, we are increasing the use of ultra-high-strength steel and hot stamp steel technologies that will help us reduce the thickness and optimize the strength of the vehicle body, making it more lightweight, as well as the advance of vehicle telematics and other electronic features, which continue to increase our production complexity. Here in Alabama, we recently launched the all-new 2018 Honda Odyssey minivan. The Odyssey features an incredible array of new telematics technologies, including industry-first features like cabin talk and cabin watch. This Odyssey went from 8 major electronic features to 23, with the critical checkpoints for our associates increasing from 19 to 31. This presents big challenges in a manufacturing environment. For instance, our line associates had to learn how to use new processes to get all of the software in the vehicle to talk to each other. Essentially, this is telling the car who it is. This kind of challenge demonstrates the need to ensure that our associates, as well as the young people who will join our company in the future, can manage an advanced technology workplace. However, according to a study by Deloitte and the Manufacturing Institute, Over the next decade, there will be a need for more than 3.4 million manufacturing jobs. And based on continued job creation and an aging workforce, 2 million of these jobs, nearly 60%, will go unfilled because prospective employees lack interest or the essential skills. To address this issue, today we are focused on investing in the next generation of American manufacturing leaders, creating what we're calling the workforce of the 21st century. This is a two-pronged approach with a focus on training for our current team, continued training for our current team, as well as supporting education in schools for the next generation. For instance, in Ohio, we built 2 training centers to help our current associates learn new skills for an advanced technology workplace. These technical centers are critical for Honda for 2 reasons. First, we are taking a unique approach to the changing dynamics of manufacturing in North America. As technology advancements increase in manufacturing, we are committed to staying on the cutting edge. Second, we have to quickly meet the needs of the human resource development of the next generation. After more than 30 years of building product in North America, we have thousands of associates who are now approaching retirement age. To counter this risk, we must advance the skills of our younger associates and transfer knowledge and experience from one generation to the next. Here in Alabama, we have a number of workforce development programs, starting from things like our Manufacturing Day to expose high school students to potential careers in manufacturing, and programs that enable students at 2-year colleges to work part-time in the plant, and co-op programs with engineering and business students at 4-year schools who work full-time at the plant on rotating semesters so that they can gain valuable work experience together with their education. These programs benefit not only Honda, but also our suppliers and other manufacturers in the area. We realize manufacturing has always been key to America's economy and our strength. And we want to implement programs that create opportunities for our own associates and the workforce of the future. So, as I began the morning, it was 30 years ago last month that our vision for self-reliance in North America was established. But our focus is not on the past. It is our responsibility as a member of the auto industry here in North America to help prepare manufacturing for the workforce of the future. And our commitment to our customers through the production of electrified products that they will drive in the future. These are the challenges and opportunities we all must consider as part of our commitment to drive progress in the future. Thank you for your attention, and I hope you have a great conference. Thank you so much.
We're actually a little bit ahead of schedule, so this is a great opportunity for those that might like to have some questions for Tom. Tom is interested in entertaining those questions.
Yeah.
We have some microphones that these 2 folks here will have to pass around. So if you have a question, just raise your hand and we'll give you a microphone, and we would enjoy hearing your question.
And if not, I'm going to start calling on people.
I guess I have one while you're thinking is, and I see we have one here give just a second, but I'd like to hear Tom share some thoughts to his suppliers around expectations of Honda to the supply base as they think about building their supply chain of workers for the future.
First of all, as I know that there are a lot of major automotive suppliers in the audience and folks that support us in various ways, I want to take a moment to thank you for helping us navigate some of these tough times in the industry. Our production has continued to be strong, but as I mentioned in my speech, the shift in the demand from passenger car to light truck has really been rather abrupt by our standards, and we never could have positioned ourselves to take full opportunity of what's going on in the market without the support of all of our suppliers. So for those of you existing suppliers out there, I just want to take a moment to thank you for your support. So this topic of workforce scarcity and workforce development is, seems to be the most critical one facing our industry. And whether you believe the study that was done by Deloitte and the Manufacturing Institute, it is obviously very clear that there is a scarcity issue even today, let alone in the future. So we've really taken a two-pronged approach, and we've kind of asked our suppliers to join us in that endeavor. One is, the good old-fashioned way of just developing your people, continuing to develop your people so that, folks that come in the door with the basic skills can be developed to the level of advanced skills and continuing to keep up with the technology advancements in the industry. And second, and maybe equally important, is planting those future seeds. So we are out at now going all the way back to junior high schools, but certainly high schools and universities, trade schools and so forth, just out promoting the opportunities in manufacturing. It seems like, it's not as cool as it used to be, like when I was coming out of school. But I think when the young people are exposed to the types of opportunities they can have and the types of careers that they can have in manufacturing, that's really seems to be generating a lot of interest. So we're doing it hands-on, bringing folks into our plants, letting them see the sparks fly, letting them see cars come off the line, and hopefully really generating some excitement. And we're doing this in cooperation in some cases with suppliers, but we're also suggesting that you do take that initiative on your own. So that's kind of a summary of what we're promoting and what we're hoping the supply base will join us in. Yes, sir.
Tom, can you speak to the transformation as you look into the future of the electrification of the industry? What's it going to take for Honda and all manufacturers to migrate from fossil fuel to zero-emission vehicles?
I thought you said you were only going to ask easy questions.
Oh.
No, I'm joking. This is really critical for us, particularly right now and in the next few years, because the challenge for us is, as I mentioned in my remarks, we know that we need to start to introduce more and more electric vehicles into the market. We have no choice. Not only do we want to meet the regulations and meet CAFE requirements, but we've got to keep advancing the technology, and the way to do it is to develop them, launch them, build them, get them out in the market. The challenge is, while introducing those vehicles in relatively low volume, while continuing to efficiently produce high volume of traditional internal combustion engines, makes it a real challenge. So we don't want to add a lot of complexity to our assembly lines. We don't want to add a ton of overhead that makes us uncompetitive. And then we've got to continue to do that as the volumes shift from very few electric vehicles to more and more, to ultimately where the majority of our plants are dedicated to electric vehicles. Now, that's still several years out, as I mentioned in the speech, but we've got to figure out, or we've got to continue to make sure that we're very, very efficient and flexible today while keeping an eye on the day when most of our production will be electric. That challenge translates directly to the supply base. Okay, maybe if you're a body in white, stamping, welding supplier, or you're an interior, seat or molding supplier, maybe the electrification is less of an impact. It's not zero. But for many of you out there, the types of products and services that you're going to provide in a primary electric vehicle environment may be dramatically different. So you got to figure out how quickly to start to invest, how quickly to start to shift your capacities over to that type of environment. And what we've concluded with that is that we need to continually communicate openly and honestly with our supply base about where we see the progress of electrification. Because although we have forecasts and our president's made some bold statements about the future, the truth is there's still a lot of unknowns. So for those of us that survived the Lehman shock and other challenges in this industry, we want to make sure that we align our investment with the best information we have from the marketplace at all times. And Honda is committed to sharing that with our supply base so that we can both be very efficient as we make this transition. So that's a long answer. The truth is this is going to be difficult as hell.
Yeah, Tom, good morning. Question.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
hi.
Yeah. Morning.
Morning. Thank you very much for your comments, and thank to the organizers for making it possible for you to speak to us. Question, how are you going to envisage the installation of electrical units or plugs so that we're going to be able to actually find a place to recharge your hybrid vehicles?
So infrastructure is one of the big variables out there for both, well, for all of the electric types of vehicles, for the battery electric, for the hybrids, but even more importantly for the long term for fuel cells. And that is really one of the variables that is going to affect the customer's desire to make that shift to electrification. Right now, it's very inconvenient for, in a lot of areas of this country to own anything other than a good old gasoline engine. So that is one of the factors that we are continuing to keep an eye on. We are not in the infrastructure business. We facilitate it with our ability to develop vehicles that charge more quickly and so forth, more efficiently. But we're not in the infrastructure business, so we are continuing to monitor how the infrastructure develops in each one of the markets, and it's one of the driving forces, to be honest, to how quickly we delve into which volumes of which kind of electrified vehicles. We have a very exciting fuel cell program. We've introduced the Clarity fuel cell, and we're developing a next generation fuel cell vehicle with our friends at General Motors. There's no infrastructure, literally, for that at this point. I don't think you've seen too many hydrogen charging stations in your neighborhood lately. We are just monitoring the situation, and that's one of the key inputs that we'll use as we plan that ramp up of electrification in the future.
All right. Hi, Tom. Bernard Zwicky with CAR.
Oh, yes. How are
right
you?
here. Hi. Good,
Yeah.
thanks.
Long time no see.
Yeah, right. I spoke at the Honda Supplier Conference last week, actually. My question was about Mexico and launching your operations there. Did you run into any issues with suppliers? Were there any shortages or difficulties in getting the supply base off the ground?
Yeah, that's another great question. To be honest with you, we had huge struggles when we put our second plant in Mexico, in Celaya, a couple years ago. The big part of it was how aggressively Honda went into that plant. We built a new plant, put a bunch of new associates in there, put a new product in there, which was an all-new Honda Fit, and a bunch of us purchasing guys developed a new supply base to support it. And when I say new, we had existing production in Guadalajara, but on a very small scale. So we had to add a lot of suppliers, expand some of our existing suppliers, and you know, it was a rocky road. The good news is, as of today, we have very stable production of both the Fit and also the Honda HR-V down in Mexico. The bad news is, with the gas prices being the way they've been, the subcompact market has shrunk significantly, and you know, we have not had the opportunity for growth that we thought. The question, I want to answer the question I thought you were going to ask, and that was, is the current administration's policy on Mexico going to affect either a production or our procurement policies in Mexico? And we are very fortunate that we built a self-sustaining, self-reliant supply base in Mexico through that pain and suffering of the initial launch. And so that's a very captive market down there, captive supply chain down there. So trade policy doesn't have a direct effect on that. What might have an effect if, you know, if there is a wall built or if there is a change in policy is whether or not we will bring the best, most competitive items from Mexico back up north. And that's really kind of a wait and see situation. But overall, we're happy with the stability and the results that we've gotten out of our expansion in Mexico. We're going to stay the course and focus those plants on subcompact vehicles with a strong local supply base to help us be competitive in that market.
Tom?
Yes, sir.
This is a follow-up question. And
Okay.
So have you been to Washington to talk to the administration about your sincere desire to electrify the industry, not only yourself, but your colleagues from other large OEMs and Tier 1s? And what has the reaction been, given the fact that the administration has declared, you know, its love for fossil fuels?
Yeah, great, another great question. We are somewhat active. We are, let's say, I would say a shy company, so we're not on the front, the forefront of actively promoting a position. But we are engaged in organizations like OESA and CAR that was mentioned in my bio, or mentioned earlier. And we are supporting their efforts to clarify the benefits of free trade, particularly between countries in North America. You know, at the end of the day, you know, I don't have insider information, but it seems to be very clear that the administration wants to at least negotiate trade policy, if not make significant change. So, you know, that's an environment we're going to have to live in the future. And we're closely monitoring that situation. But like I said, we have no intention to dramatically change our approach, which is to develop, to build, and to sell vehicles in this market, here locally, and that's not going to change, regardless of the administration. Yes?
Tom, knowing that you have an office here in Alabama as well as in Georgia.
Sorry, I'm having a little trouble hearing you.
Knowing that you...
Whoa.
Wow, sorry.
No, you're fine.
Knowing that you have offices here in Alabama as well as in Georgia, you mentioned the aging workforce. How are you addressing that challenge of getting young Americans that are interested in that technology part of your industry? How are you recruiting them and also retaining them to replace your aging workforce as they move on?
Yeah, first of all, you noticed he was looking at me when he said aging workforce. I'm one of those 30-plus year guys, and I'm looking forward to ramping down. But anyway, first and most important is exposure. I have a son in college now, and he wasn't thinking anything about manufacturing in terms of career. He's thinking of something much more, trendy, sexy, whatever young people are thinking. But, when he got a chance to see the manufacturing environment, get the chance to see the sparks fly and the cars come off the line, the stamping presses going up and down, how active our plants are, how active our suppliers' plants are, the opportunities for people with technical skills in manufacturing. And I'm not just talking, of course we need people to do the simple stuff to put cars together, but there's less and less simple stuff in a car and more requirement for technical skills in the manufacturing realm. And when they see that and they see how transferable those skills are, I mean, literally, you could move anywhere in this country, and if you've got technical manufacturing skills, you're probably within 30 miles of a job, a significant job. So it's first and foremost exposure, and to show the young people that a career in manufacturing could be not only, very viable and a good way to support a family, but also fun and exciting. And then, those are seeds that we'll plant for the future. As the kids get older and get into college and trade schools, we want to actually bring them into our factories, get them. I mean, for either co-ops or even in our manufacturing day, give them more than just the normal plant tour, get them really exposed to the manufacturing environment, and just water those seeds and continue to watch them grow. Thank you. Okay, he said we're out of time. But thank you so much. I appreciate your attention, and I hope you have a great conference.